What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Ronsley. This is a new experiment of me kind of playing with AI, sharing my screen, and more maybe for me to dedicate time every so often, every week, to play with different things AI. And today we've got some really cool things coming on the show. So before I get into the details, I want to tell you what's coming up, which is kind of cool because what I decided was that I cover a few things if I did these live shows, and not only that they're being live, but they're being recorded so that I can create the podcast afterwards. So if you want the edited versions of this show or what we cover here, you will find them on the podcast. Go find the podcast. Amplify AI. Search them on YouTube or Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts. Anyway, today what we're going to do, all these sessions the plan for me to do is to focus on a tactic. So an AI tactic, and today we're going to focus on identifying business goals. Not only identifying business goals, but how to strategize, set, and execute business goals. We all know the power of it. I'm going to do that today. So we're going to play a little bit, and I'll share my screen and show you, how I would start thinking about it, how to use AI to do it at speed, how to use AI as well to do it well, to do it with efficiency. So if you're tuning in live or if you're watching the recording or the replay, just mention replay. If you're watching live, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. If you could use the comments, that would be super special. But we know setting goals works. We know that once we set a goal and we identify, we spend time and energy and focus on setting the goal, a lot of the times it works. And it's happened way too often for me. But it is time consuming. It is energy consuming. It takes a lot of energy and mental focus to, to set goals. And there's a great quote I heard by a friend of mine when I was interviewing her a few years ago. Actually, I went to her house down in Noosa. Her name is Melissa Ambrosini. So I interviewed her for a podcast that I used to do, an audio documentary called The Psychology of Entrepreneurship. And she said something really interesting before we started recording, actually. She's like, Ronsley, how many times does a millionaire read their goals? And I said, I don't know. She's like, every day. How many times does a billionaire read their goals? And I was like, I don't know. It's like twice a day. I said, oh, that's really interesting. So goals are really important. And the more we set the goals, the better it is for us. So today I'm going to show you how to do that with speed at using AI. But I'm also going to cover some really cool things that are happening right now that I think you should know about. Today, I want to focus on this news bit that, well, in the world of AI, it seems like news is it's at a different speed, a different timeline altogether. But Elon Musk suing OpenAI. Why the lawsuit? Why you should care? What's Elon's case, and why it is really important for us to all kind of have for us all to be in the conversation of artificial intelligence. I've said this way too many times about how important the conversation of artificial intelligence is. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about how to customize your ChatGPT so that you can, your GPT-4 or actually even 3.5 if you want to use it. But I'm going to show you how to use it really well. And then I'm going to talk about episode 69, bots to billions, which I think is something that's really cool. Today we're going to cover a technique that I think is part of setting business goals. So we start with a SWOT analysis, which is figuring out what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. Then we figure out what our objectives and key results are. And then we do our regular recurring reps. And I'll show you how to do that today using artificial intelligence. So if you're here and you're tuning in, I'd love to know where you are. It says there are 42 people on this live stream. I don't know. I would love for you to put comments somewhere in the comments and let me know where you're tuning in from and how you're using artificial intelligence right now. If you're a business owner, what's the use case that you're finding the most use for, and also what you're sort of struggling with if you are with anything to do with AI. What I'm seeing a lot is that AI looks like this great magic trick, and a lot of people can get some good results because if you put anything in the ChatGPT, it's like it's quite remarkable what it returns. but it doesn't actually grow the business, or doesn't grow revenue or operations or audience or brand, and that's the focus. The focus is here to use artificial intelligence in alignment with brand identity to actually do something for the business. So let's just start with some of the news, what's been happening around Elon Musk suing ChatGPT. Now, in the world of AI, this happened a long time ago, but this actually happened on the 2nd of March, and this is by the BBC. But what Elon's whole idea here is that he's breached the principles. He's talking about OpenAI right now, and he's talking about how OpenAI has breached the principles. And if you didn't know, Elon Musk was part of the initial group that formed OpenAI along with Sam Altman. So he's saying that instead of trying to benefit humanity, as it was set up to do, it's focusing on maximizing profits for its major investor, Microsoft. So it's really interesting to see how these major players, Laptop Laura, what's going on? How are you? I wonder where this is actually going out live. I've tried to use Restream to put it everywhere, but good to see you. Thanks for commenting. Good to see you. Good to hear you. So this is a really interesting development because I also have a really interesting episode coming up when I want to do live. So I've planned a few of these out, and the title is "How Open Is Actually OpenAI?" Right? Because we don't really know how it functions, and there's a lot of open source large language models, and in general the sentiment is that we use artificial intelligence and should be available to everyone. It should be available to anyone. So we want to use it for good, and we want to be able to make it democratize it as well. So it's also really interesting because we know that that OpenAI changed its focus very recently and put its focus as going after AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, and that's a big step. An artificial intelligence that is capable of any task, but also very aware that it is alive and can think for itself. So here is the main part of the case, which I thought it would be very relevant for us to all know about. This case is filed to compel OpenAI to adhere to the founding agreement and return to its mission to develop AGI for the benefit of humanity, not to personally benefit the individual defendants and the largest technology company in the world. And he's talking about Microsoft here. But there's a lot of things happening right now. OpenAI is probably one of the most, like everyone's talking about OpenAI a lot. Everyone's focusing on OpenAI, and we know that there was this whole thing with the board and Sam Altman being ousted. But we know how closely Microsoft worked with OpenAI during that time as well. So it's all really interesting, and it's really important to know that that AI should be freely available, and that's why this news story is really important. Microsoft investment, in OpenAI is large. It's quite large, and we know that in the sense that GPT-4 is closed. We don't know how it works, and it's not. So we want that to be more. We want there to be more open. So considering the name of the company is OpenAI, it's a lot of their stuff is quite closed. And this is also really interesting, this effective altruism, which is really the way most entrepreneurs think about entrepreneurship, is solving meaningful problems. And Elon Musk goes after this, and it's apparently called effective altruism. Anyway, that's the news. I want to talk about setting business goals, because I think that's super important, and I want to use that. I want to do that using OpenAI. So while that is here, I want to show you what's coming up. So the main idea here is how to identify business goals using AI, and what I want to show you what kind of prep I did a little bit before getting into this show. So I want to say a couple of things. First is the technique to get business goals. And most of us here tuning in are probably at a stage that we should have at least do our business goals and set them, strategize them, set and execute them regularly. So at least the strategize and set part needs to come at least once a year, if not more frequently, and regularly execute and monitor and control them. So the process to strategize and set is you do a SWOT analysis followed by putting that SWOT analysis into an objectives and key results framework, and then do that. Then find out what your regular recurring reps are. Now, again, I want you to think about this. Like, if you had to do this manually, this would take a lot of time, right? But now you can do that at speed. So I asked this question, which I think is really powerful to know. This was a few days ago when I started to intend to do these lives. And it's crazy because it's telling me there are 47 people right now, which is insane. So thank you for watching. And I'd love to know in the comments where you are. I'm getting a few of them coming through. I think the ones from Twitter are coming through maybe. So this is Laura. Great to have you. But I can only see a few. So if you're here, just put some comments so that I can, get some interaction here, because I'd love to know what you think and thoughts on doing this better as well, because this is really a whole test. So I asked it, how long does it typically take a small business to do an annual identify business goals project? It would include a SWOT analysis followed by doing OKRs, using OKRs to create regular recurring reps, which mean the daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual tasks that need to be done to achieve the business OKRs. So that's the context, right? So it did a really good job of breaking the whole thing down, and it said, well, typically you might expect to spend between 4 to 10 weeks on something like that. And I'm like, well, that is a lot of time. So what we want to do is do that quicker, right? We want to do that easier. And let's just use ChatGPT for that. So we'll go to ChatGPT, and today I want to show you a few things that will help you massively on how to use ChatGPT, how to personalize it for you. I wonder, are you working? Are you alive? So normally, this whole thing would be populated, so I'm not sure why this isn't working the way I'd want it to work. Let's try. I mean, it's not like this is live or anything, so. All right, we'll wait for ChatGPT to function. In the meanwhile, we'll use Perplexity. Oh, I didn't even type it right. So this is another tool, Perplexity.ai. Right now it is using Claude in the background, but I would have really loved ChatGPT to be functional, but it seems like it's not. So we'll use a different tool that will kind of achieve the same results. One of the things that I want to do is show you like how I would set these different goals. So the first thing I would do is I would say, my name is Ronsley, and I'm a computer scientist. Turned entrepreneur, that helps business owners use AI to grow revenue, operations, brand and audience in alignment with their brand identity. So, so like a basic. This is what I do, and this is why this is really really important. Can you run me a SWOT analysis? And also can you run me a SWOT analysis on this? I don't think that's the best instruction, but it's a good start. What's the main focus of your business? Let me say coaching and training business owners and leaders. And then we'll see what that does. So perplexity is really really cool with it in the way it operates, because it has access to the internet, but you can also choose different different models that you want to use while you're doing this. Now my plan was to show you how to use ChatGPT, but for whatever reason it's not loading and it's just stuck. So perplexity it is. I'll show you a few different things, but the idea for SWOT analysis is that it takes something that you give it, which is true. So you say, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is what I care about, and you're saying this is what my business does. This is how I help my people. This is the outcome that they're after, and this is, can you do a SWOT analysis? So you kind of grounding your objectives and key results on your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, rather than not do that. So it'll identify what the strengths and weaknesses are, which is really interesting. So what the unique combination of my strengths, and I've not even told it that I actually have a master's of software engineering, and I've taken 2 companies to ISO 9001. And I've written a thesis on process quality, and and so I've not even given it the entire context. But the more context you give it when you're doing a SWOT analysis, the much better it is, right? So this is just an idea. I'm giving you an example of how I would do this if I were you. So you first do a SWOT analysis, and when you do a SWOT analysis, it'll give you, these are my strengths, which is true. I've not even told it that I've written a tool, an AI tool a year ago that people are buying for a lot of money. So I've not put everything in here. So my suggestion is that when you're running your SWOT analysis and you're doing that, you put what your strengths are, and the way you see things. Weaknesses, as a solopreneur, you lack resources. See, I didn't even tell it about the teams that I have. Your broad focus is specialized, which is a weakness. Bridging ancient wisdom with cutting edge technology is a unique angle, but maybe hard to translate into concrete service offerings. So it's found out that I actually care about this ethical conundrum that we have around AI, which is how are we using AI ethically? Are we using it only to hit our goals? Are we using it primarily just to primarily just to get ahead and not be left behind, or are we genuinely using it to solve meaningful problems? And I feel like us going back to ancient wisdom, where collaboration is so powerful, is a really good way to inform artificial intelligence. So that's the weaknesses, and it's on opportunities and threats. So now what I want to do is I want to say, based on the SWOT analysis above, can you help me set my OKRs, which are objectives and key results? My goal is in the next year to have 100 business owners and leaders in my group coaching and training program. Um, clarify any information you need from me to do this correctly. So I wanted to see how I'm structuring prompts. In a future episode, I'll show you how to best structure prompts and what is the framework I would use. How many do I have currently? I have 13. Send. So that's a really powerful question, by the way. When you're setting these things, like it actually asks for context of where I am right now to where I want to go in the next year. Now, I remember doing a book marketing campaign in here, and I said I want to sell 20,000 copies of my book, which I just, by the way, sent the first draft of the manuscript last week to the editor, which is quite exciting. So I said I want to sell 20,000 copies, and it literally told me that, dude, that's quite an ambitious goal. So I said, oh, you say ambitious, you mean I can't achieve it? It's like, no, it's not that you can't achieve it. So I said, how about if I give you more context of, what I've done and who I am? I was like, okay. And then it goes, okay, based on that context, that might be possible, but it's only possible if you do these things in this order, which is kind of cool, right? When you have an opportunity to set those kind of goals. So to set effective OKRs for your goal of having 100 business owners and leaders in your group coaching, I'll need some additional information. So what is the current number of business owners? Okay. So 113. Okay. So answers to your questions. 113. Do you have an existing marketing approach? 2. Yes. A podcast and an email list of 4,500 people. Then was that? What is the capacity if you're taking new classes and resources? 3. It is in a group format, so more people the better, and my team can help with customer service. Are there specific industries? So I would say online. I want to start with businesses that already have an online presence. So again, when you're doing OKRs, these are really important questions because, again, can you imagine how long this would take to manually do this, especially if you have a big team and if you're doing this, say if you had 2 more leaders that you'd have to do that with, how many meetings that would be and how long it would take. So now, based on that context, it's given me, it's trying to figure out my objective, which I've kind of given it, right? Because I think it's important to, when you're doing your OKRs, to have, okay, this is my goal, this is my objective for the next year. So this is my strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is my goal for the next year. Can you give me key results that I have to do and the milestones, which it's done, right? So it's kind of gone, increase the number of business owners, leverage existing podcasts to attract new clients, convert email list, and then it's given me these really amazing things here, which is so powerful. And I want to end this and I want to land this plane soon. So I want to tell you what to do with this. Now you have your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats, and you've got your objective and you've got your key results with milestones. The next thing you got to do is figure out how to regularly do them. So now I would say, this is great. You are amazing. This is the way I talk to the AI, by the way, because when the machines take over, it should know that I was always nice, and I was always kind, and I was always polite. And I think it should just be the way we are. And I'm really not a fan of seeing these videos, by the way, of computer engineers sort of treating robots by kicking them to test them. I understand that it's required, but they'll remember. So this is great. You are amazing. I would love you to help me with, uh, which is regular recurring reps. These are the tasks to be done daily, weekly, monthly, quarter. Wait, sorry. To achieve the OKRs above. Let's see how we go. So again, this is me. This is me making up the prompts on the go, and I think what is really interesting to note is that when you're doing these, you can be even more specific and take more time. I'm just trying to cover a lot of these really quickly to sort of give you an idea of how I would set business goals at speed and do it quickly. So now what it's done is let's see what we did here, right? So strengths, opportunities, weaknesses, and strengths. It kind of grounded us and told us, what are good, what is bad. And then what we've done is we've said our goal or objective for the next year is this. Based on the objective, give me the key results and milestones for me to achieve. So these are the different milestones for start of the year, how to do them, how to convert them, and it's broken it down. And then we've asked it, okay, well, this is all great, but what do I do regularly to make sure that I'm actually achieving my OKRs? So that is, you do it at speed. And when you think about what we saw earlier when we first started this whole conversation about doing business goals, when we started, we were talking about how long this would take to do it without AI. It would take between 4 and 11 weeks, it said, and that is being very conservative about this whole this whole operation, how to execute this operation and to do that at speed is so powerful. Even to have that in play right now, even for you to ideate and spend half an hour, 20 minutes, or even an hour using artificial intelligence to brainstorm and set your business goals. Not only set them, but like strategize, set, and execute them. Have a plan on what you're going to do regularly to achieve them. Is going to be a great exercise. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So then you can understand how you can actually get whatever it is that you want. Now, there are a whole bunch of edited podcasts on different growth tactics, case studies, and different tech stacks on some really important AI concepts. And you go to Amplify AI on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you find your podcast, or go to aigeeks.site, SITE. Unfortunately, our websites have been hit by malware recently, and we're still trying to recover. Some of our links are broken to redirects and stuff like that. But you can Google us. I'm pretty sure you'll be able to find some the podcast for sure. So Amplify AI podcast. And if you want an advanced copy of my book, send me a DM, and if you're here, send me a comment. That would be great. Thanks for joining me. I mean, I didn't think I would be live for like half an hour. Thanks to the 50 odd people that came on live. I'm really excited, and I'm going to be here tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to talk about Claude 3 and how powerful that is. Actually, maybe we won't do Claude. We'll do GPT-4, which was not working today. So hopefully that'll work tomorrow. And we're also going to talk about how to use AI to interpret your business vital signs, to know what are the vital signs of your business and to monitor and measure them. All right, this is Ronsley. Much love.